Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome in to Denver Sports Coffee Break. We've got D-Max, Cecil, Lammy, Rachel B. Hill hanging out with you for the next 45 minutes as we got to talk about the drama that is going around Jim Harbaugh right now at Michigan. And will it push him to the NFL? It's going to be a big question. But first of all, how are both of you? Cecil, you first.
Yeah, it's day still punching, but we're here, and it's the final Broncos week. So I hope Jim Harbaugh's hired on Tuesday, but I imagine we'll have to wait.
It's the
D-Mac?
last Broncos practice we can attend and watch. So I'm sad. I love going out there and seeing the guys, and they may not like seeing us, but I always get a little verklempt when it comes to the end of the season. You know, for as much as it grinds our gears, it's still what we follow passionately. So we'll see what Jerry Rosberg has to say. I'm sure there'll be a interesting, reflective soliloquy about these memorable last 2 weeks.
Will this be the last time that we will hear from him besides Sunday, right?
Probably.
Special teams coordinator next year.
Should he be? Actually, this is a very serious conversation. Should he be the special teams coordinator next year? Cecil, you first.
1,000%, yes.
Oh, if they could convince him, it'd be amazing. But
you don't think they can convince him?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe his juices got stirred again. I mean, he already did this job, though, for 19 years with a lot of success with the Ravens. He's living in a hotel in a van down by the river. His wife lives back like in Maryland. Yeah, he's got an interesting project with hyperbaric chamber recovery for veterans and athletes who are dealing with head trauma. I don't know. I mean, the guy's got an interesting life going on. I don't think it's about the money for him, and it wouldn't be about doing something he hasn't done. I think these 2 weeks were something he hasn't done, which made it interesting. So I'm not exactly sure why he would come back here to do something he retired from.
Relationships. It's a relationship business, and he's got a relationship with the Harbaughs. So you hire Jim Harbaugh. He's worked with John Harbaugh forever. You know, hey, do your buddy a solid. Do your buddy's brother a solid and come on board for at least a year.
Maybe. I don't know. It depends what motivates him. And he seems to love football. He seems to really enjoy it. So I don't think it's outrageous. And shoot, yeah, I'd love to have Rosberg around for another year. Him running special teams? Great. I can't think of somebody better.
Things have been looking really good with him out there. Okay, so let's get into Jim Harbaugh, obviously, because this started off as a very minor thing with these level 2, what's the word I'm looking for?
Violations.
Thank you. And now it's turned into a level 1 violation. So the program is being investigated for 4 level 2 violations, generally considered minor. They center on using too many coaches at practice sessions, meeting with 2 recruits during a COVID-19 dead period, and watching player workouts over a video feed, according to a source. The level 1 allegation is that Harbaugh misled NCAA investigators when confronted with questions about the level 2 allegations. A level 1 violation could lead to significant recruiting restrictions or even a suspension for a number of games. Harbaugh's contract allows for the university to terminate him for cause if the NCAA or the conference or the university reasonably determines that the head coach has committed a material violation of a material provision of the governing rules. So this would have to take months, possibly years for it to go through because you have to do the full investigation. But will this type of violation force Harbaugh into the NFL, D-Mac?
Yeah, but it also puts up some red flags, too. I mean, they're accusing him of lying. And it's one thing to just, this was all during COVID time, too. And it's not like Michigan's the only one. I mean, Air Force had issues with this. Arizona State, more or less, this ruined Herm Edwards at Arizona State. So it's the lying, that you get a guy who is would lie about this stuff, which is getting you in worse circumstances. I don't know. I'm all right with it, I guess. I understand Harbaugh's a kooky dude. I still think, well, there is a scenario where he's not my number 1 candidate, but I'll get to that in a second. So your question is, could it push him away? Yeah, it could. I mean, if you're facing game suspension and it's just over for you in Michigan, sure. I mean, that's essentially what happened with Pete Carroll at USC.
Yep. Cecil?
Sorry, I had to wake up there from reading those NCAA violations. This reminds me of the permanent record. And by the way, DMAC, your Boston is rubbing off on Rachel because she said Harbaugh. So she's getting a little East Coast. That's a Harbaugh. Harbaugh. NCAA is garbage. They're absolute garbage. And a coach lied. Shocker. Like he allegedly had to lie or whatever. Like they watched a Zoom video. They watched a workout. Okay, everybody, like there's important stuff going on in this world, and the NCAA is making sure this is a level 1. This is very serious allegations, sir. Oh, get bent, NCAA. You guys suck anyway. So yeah, Harbaugh
okay,
get pushed
fine,
to NFL.
Cecil, but when is it okay to lie?
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. I mean, it's every coach lies, DMAC. Can we agree on that?
No.
Every coach lies.
When is it okay to lie to an investigator? When is that all right to do? I understand.
Now, he's alleged of being lied. Did he lie or did he not tell the whole truth? I don't want to go Obi-Wan on you, but like, there's ways to answer questions without answering the question. And that's probably what he did. And again, we're talking about watching a Zoom call, basically. So it's not like the Drew Lock thing, right? Where Blake Bortles is like, hey, let's just wheat in the middle or whatever. Like, this is them watching a Zoom call and the NCAA rattling their saber. Like, okay, hold on to the little power that you have left, NCAA.
David in the comments said, everyone lies. It's the type that matters. True or false, DMAC?
Sure. I think everybody probably lies a little bit. Probably everybody lies a little bit every day to one degree or another. Cecil sounds like somebody who has teenagers when they're trying to like parse what the lies are. Well, I wasn't really lying. I just wasn't telling you all the information. It's like,
right.
Parents of teenagers, we've heard that one before, no doubt about it. So, but I already know who Harbaugh is. We all do. He's that type of guy. And he's lived life a little bit on the shady side in terms of how he gets things done. But he gets things done. Listen, let me just bring up what I would love to see happen, okay? Because while I do think he is the best fit for the Broncos now, and this hasn't really changed my mind about that, I got a guy who's a better fit. That would be my dream guy, and that would be Mike McDaniel. And my hope here is Ross, who owns the Dolphins and is a ridiculous Michigan supporter. I mean, he is Mr. Michigan, Ross, who owns the. So if they do something absolutely insanely stupid and fire Mike McDaniel to get Jim Harbaugh, holy cow, you got a guy who now does have head coaching experience, albeit a year. He has worked with a shorter, quirky to handle quarterback and knows what he's doing. He's a football savant. He's a minority candidate, which would be fantastic on all sorts of levels. And he went to Smoky Hill High School that I'm looking at right now and has deep ties to the Broncos, and he's a young innovator. I mean, I would be beside myself if we could get Mike McDaniel instead of Jim Harbaugh. I mean, that would be my number one, you got to be kidding me, awesome, wow, head coaching hire of all time.
Yeah, I love Mac, you've been around when Mike McDaniel was a ball boy for the Shanahan days. So we've all known Mike for a long, long time. The Barstool thing, which went viral or whatever, it's like, that's like 9 months old. When Mike McDaniel was hired, basically the deal was, and this was never an official deal. It's not like they signed it in blood, but the deal and the feeling was around that team was if he doesn't win, they're going to move on and they're going to go get Sean Payton. Now it happens to be Jim Harbaugh. So It was always a one-year deal for Mike McDaniel. And we all love Mike. And we were hoping, and with the Dolphins' success, we were hoping like Mike's going to get another chance. And because Stephen Ross is crazy. He's crazy. Michigan alum, and he's nuts. Okay. So this whole deal, while I know everyone acted like it was breaking news, if you're around the league, you've known this since McDaniel got hired, basically.
Cecil, so are you telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, it's Stephen Ross. He's nuts.
Okay, well, that's a new name we're all throwing into the mix now. But is it still more likely to be the top two names of Sean Payton or Jim Harbaugh? Although
McDaniel changes everything. Mike McDaniel changes everything.
Yeah, now I'm just straight up rooting for Mike McDaniel. because I won't have to deal with the foolish compromises we'd have to make with Jim Harbaugh. You wouldn't have to give up a draft pick. And to me, it's dubious motivation for Sean Payton. And holy cow, I think with Mike McDaniel, you'd get a young Mike Shanahan. And I would be over the moon if we could get Mike McDaniel.
That's crazy. But Clint does say, why are you that high on McDaniel when he's about to lose like 6 straight and Tua has been on the decline? He's
got a concussion.
Tua's brain is scrambled. Tua Tagovailoa should never play football again.
I know.
Yeah.
So sad.
And listen, go back to how it started with Mike McDaniel and Tua. Mike McDaniel looked at, you ready for this? 700. He sent Tua 700 clips of Tua being awesome. He sat on a plane and reassured Tua, you're my guy. He is got a connection with the players that is so incredibly unique. He went to Yale. He's a genius. And he has an unbelievable passion for football. That is everything we're looking to deal with Russell Wilson. I mean, because you still have to deal with Russell Wilson. If you didn't have to deal with Russell Wilson, maybe I wouldn't feel quite so passionately. But I think what Mike McDaniel has done with the Dolphins is next level. I mean, I have just been so impressed all year. Never mind losing a couple games here or there. Nobody was expecting anything out of the Dolphins this year. Nothing. And look what they've done too, roster-wise, with Waddle and Tyreek Hill. The fact that we found out yesterday that the Broncos weren't playing Albert Okwuegbunam because he was too good of an athlete. Like, we can't have 2 good athletes on the field. We can't have Dulcich and Albert O because they have the same body type. What in the world are Tyreek Hill and Jayden Waddle if they're not the same body type? What are we doing here, guys?
And Waddle and Hill also carrying Tagovailoa. I've never been that high on Tua. Okay, it's not the left-handed thing. It's just like he's limited in what he can do. And that offense specifically, this is what Kyle Shanahan does so well, McDaniel being a Shanahan disciple. What he does so well is that you can insert Brock Purdy, who is not good. Okay, everyone like losing their. I hate when people lose their mind over young quarterbacks when they have like a good game or a good stretch. Mac Jones sucks. Okay, Brock Purdy's pretty average at best, but they can win with that system where you're basically covering up for the quarterback. Look what they did with Jimmy G for years. So McDaniel comes in, you can win with Russell Wilson, and if he needs to be replaced, hopefully by a better backup, you can win with that guy too. And then when you draft a young guy, because you should be drafting a young guy soon, you can win with that guy because of that McDaniel system. When ran true, the quarterback is actually the least important part of the offense, which is weird to say and think, but that's the Shanahan system.
Cecil, what good quarterbacks are there for possibly like round 3 this year?
Oh, it's Jaron Hall. I mean, I'm not fully done with my scouting. Obviously, it's January 6th or whatever. So when I get at the Shrine Game at the end of this month and the Senior Bowl at the end of this month, then yeah, I'll have a better answer for you. But right now in the 3rd or 4th round, Jaron Hall from BYU, 6 feet tall, athletic, big arm. Sounds pretty good that you can work with in the mid rounds. You're not going to draft one in the early rounds. The year after that, you should be considering that based on what you get from Russell Wilson this year.
Rachel, there's no quarterbacks for the 3rd round. 0. 4th round and deeper, maybe. How many times we got to go over this? The Broncos got to fill some other roles there, and they don't have a 2nd round pick. You got a first. You got a what Cecil? Where are they now? 27th or something? Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you got a 27th round pick and a 3rd round pick. You got to find 2 freaking starters if you want any hope. If you want to take a flyer on a dude this year, it best be. And I'm rolling my eyes at 4th round, but it best be 4th round or deeper. I'm not against that at all, but oh my God, I would lose my biscuits if they draft a quarterback in the 3rd round this year, because look at all the other needs.
And it's 29, by the way.
It's ridiculous.
It's the 29th pick right now, according to Tankathon.
29?
29. Yeah.
And guess what? This is bad news. There are no good right tackles available deep in the 1st round right now. It sucks. If you're going to get one of those guys, you got we're in a world of hurt right here for some of the needs that they actually need, because you're just gonna, and I don't believe in overdrafting, and you need a right tackle like nobody's business, but you also need a guard because Reisner's probably gone.
Reisner's gone. Yeah.
I think that's.
Are you using both first and third on O-line? We have to, right?
No, because you got other issues too. Not necessarily. Oh my God, you might have a running back issue. You got a lot of issues here, but you do have problems on O-line. So if they see, that's the problem, Cecil, that I have. If yes, I want a right tackle, but you still want a quality right tackle. You really don't want to spend a first-round pick on a right tackle who's not going to be here for like 7 to 10 years.
And you should have drafted him last year because his name was Abraham Lucas and he's available in the 3rd round, went to Seattle. So imagine if you don't take Benito, you take Dulcich, because everyone loves Greg Dulcich, whatever. I don't even care. But by allowing a guy like Abraham Lucas, who is a quality right tackle, to fall to the 3rd round, and you're taking Dulcich and Benito, and then you got the 5th round just dropped the ball completely. And Tariq Woolen's right there. You take Delarian Turner Yell. Isaiah Pacheco's right there. You take Montreal Washington, who stinks. Like, this is where, Peyton, this is your job, man. You need to be forward thinking in the draft. You knew tackle was going to be a problem. Hell, I could make the argument they need a left tackle pretty soon. And pretty soon is faster than you think.
Pit of misery afterthought draft mistake. Let's have a chat about Nick Bonito and how he fits into the mix. And that pick. And I get it. It was the last pick of the 2nd round. Why? Because you gave up the cookies for Russell Wilson. Why? Because you couldn't draft a quarterback in 2021 like you should have. I mean, we just keep going on this stuff.
So D-Mac,
we're circling around the George Payton is an incompetent GM, which he is.
Doesn't that make him problem number 1?
No, it's still Russell Wilson.
D-Mac.
But that's it's a close race, Rachel. It's nose and nose. Okay. So, but at the end of the day, the bigger problem is a quarterback that you put so much value towards, not only in draft capital, but cash, money, contracts, that prohibits you from doing so many other things. That guy has got to rise above the idiocy of George Payton.
I was going to say, you mean the contract that George Payton put on Russell Wilson?
Yeah, I get it. I know. Okay. I get it.
I'm making sure we're on the same page here. A lot of people are saying in the comments, though, Hendon Hooker. What do we think about Hendon Hooker? Is he just a flashy name because of what we saw out of him, or is he actually a realistic candidate for the draft this year, Cecil?
Again, it depends on where he goes. Give me on the road. Give me a month, okay? And then I'll have better intel in terms of what scouts are thinking of where he's going to fall and where he's going to go. So if you tell me Hooker in the 3rd, okay, fine. Is he even going to be there? Probably not. Even with the injury, right now it's a nice name to talk about and consider, but yeah, I'm with D-Mac. I'm not taking a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, and you don't have a 2nd round pick anyway.
Yeah. If Hooker falls to round 4, you better be locked down in a lot of other positions too, even before you do that. But I am 1000% about taking a quarterback, because all you have to be right now is freaking better than Brett Rippon. All right. Shouldn't be, and better than Jared Guarantano, I guess.
But are you looking at the draft, or are you just looking at free agency?
You're looking primarily at the draft for that, because you're so limited with money for free agency to get somebody of that quality for the limited amount of funds you have. It's not like you can't pick up some sort of
Marcus Mariota,
Yeah, if you can find somebody for $2 to $3 million, I don't know. I mean, okay. Listen, you got to understand something, and I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but the style of offense that it's going to take for Russell Wilson to be successful is going to leave him vulnerable. It is. But you have to run that type of offense to be successful. You have to be willing to take those risks. So to go into the year and just think, at 35, Dad Bod Wilson is not going to get hurt running around for 17 weeks is moronical. I mean, you've got to plan better for that. And I can't sit here for another year and just hear about how Brett Rippon sucks. Well, then get somebody better than him if he's really that bad, if you don't trust him that much. So we're going around in circles on a bunch of stuff. So sure, draft somebody in the 4th, 5th round, and Marcus Mariota. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I mean, what's he going to command? I don't know. Sometimes when you can't really run an effective offense, guys, sometimes if you just run the stupid ball with the quarterback, you can accumulate yards, convert third downs, finish in the red zone, score points, and give yourselves a shot. The fact that the Broncos were, and we'll see what happens with the Chargers, but what is it, 9 games by less than 1 score they've lost? Everybody's like, oh, that's really close. To me, it's like, that's really pathetic. Like, you couldn't just get 1 more score? And don't forget, you're the 32nd offense. You're not close. You're a million miles away because pathetically, you just couldn't do what everybody else could do. So it's not like you just missed. You missed by 10,000 miles.
Well, let's be truthful about this. Teams weren't putting their foot on the gas. So you can have 1-score games. It's because teams know, we got to get 20 and we're going to win. Oh my God, we had to get 24 this week because Denver actually put up a fight. So, God bless this defense. And there's a lot of this defense I want to keep together, and Najee Evero and whatever. But we also have to realize if you're in it where you can actually score points, other teams are going to try to score too. You're going to get a better effort. You're going to get better results. You're going to get more of a test. So part of this 1-score losses are so close. It's like, that's because teams weren't trying to score a bunch because they know they didn't have to.
Yeah, and this game coming up means, I'm just telling everybody, this game on Sunday means nothing. Nothing. I mean, I don't know if the starters for the Chargers are even going to play more than a quarter. I mean, who knows? They might not.
Depends on what happens in is it the Ravens game?
Baltimore, yeah.
Yeah, so listen, I'm actually picking the Broncos to win because, first of all, you do play better against your division opponents. You do. And incredibly, while they're 0-11 against the Chiefs in the last 11 games, they're 6-5 against the Chargers in those same 11 opportunities. So I don't know, 17-14, the Broncos win, maybe something like that. But
confidence there, maybe.
It doesn't mean a damn thing. If Russell Wilson plays well, if the Broncos win, I'm serious, guys. It doesn't mean a damn thing. You should take away nothing from whatever happens in this game.
Hopefully Jerry can just get a win just so he can go out on top with a win. That'll be happy for him.
Sure, okay. That'd be fun for Jerry, and Albert Okawabanam and the beast, Cortland Sutton, can carry him out on their shoulders.
Everybody in the comments is giving such fun suggestions. So here we go with another one. Whoever comes in as coach better keep Justin Outen as OC. Cecil, love it or hate it?
Outen put together a good plan last week. I rarely praised him at all until last week. I was like, okay, that was a good plan. Didn't work, but that was a good plan. So we always wondered, the two Bobs, what would you say you do here? We found out Justin Outen can do a little bit. So yeah, but I'm not keeping him around. No, wash him out. Get rid of him.
It's difficult to stand up at press conferences and explain other people's mistakes. And that's what Outen's basically had to do all year. When it came to actually calling a game, they actually put in the right type of offense kind of for the first time all year. And Russell Wilson still screwed that up, even though it was right there on a platter. I mean, you're down, when he threw that interception, what are they down, 3? I mean, what are you doing, dude? I get it. It went against you with the Cortland Sutton OPI. I get it. That sucked. All right. Relax. Just go back to what you were doing. And I guess that's Outen's fault for not restricting Russ enough. You cannot trust this cat, Russell Wilson. And then he's got the ball in his hand in a 1-score game, and you go 3 and out, and you hold on to the ball for forever. And I know Russell Wilson doesn't necessarily hold on to the ball all that long all the time because he's making virtual handoffs when he's throwing to tight ends and running backs. I mean, it's a pass, but I mean, dude, in the first half, he was averaging 3.7 yards a pass. I mean, it was the most conservative passing game you can imagine. They were putting him on the center. They were running boot rolls. They were running play action. It wasn't complicated, guys. It wasn't. I mean, this is an offense that has worked for years and is as old as dirt. It's not innovative. It's not that creative. I mean, virtually any of us could run this type of offense for Russell Wilson. He's not a special quarterback anymore, and that's what you have to do. with a guy who's not that special. Because when you allow him or try to have him I'm going to lose my voice, make a comeback, he almost falls all the time this year. Show me an example of Russell Wilson coming through in the clutch ever. What's that flash this year? The England game? I mean, aside from that, give me an instance.
Cecil, you got any?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't happen. But D-Mac's right. Like, you've got to limit him and his time before pass, because there's a lot of misconceptions about Russ that I'll battle on Twitter. The most important thing ever. Twitter sucks, by the way. It always has. But for me, it's like his average time before pass is the exact same as Justin Herbert. Herbert, the only player in NFL history with 3 straight 4,000-yard seasons to begin his career. So it's 2.5 seconds. Like, so he's holding on to the ball too long. He does it times. And it's those times where he screws the Broncos. He screws over that offense because instead of getting rid of the ball and taking what the defense gets him, he wants to play hero ball, and he wants to show that he can win it all in one throw. That's not how this thing works. It's not how this system works.
And guess what? If he had elite arm talent, he doesn't now. And whether that's age or injury, he is average or below average for NFL arm talent. We got to stop comparing athletes to us, okay? We have to start putting them comparatively to each other, not what I can do, Cecil can do, you can do, Rachel, or, Joe Fitness at 24-Hour Fitness, all right? You got to be – I guess you got to go to practice to see that Jarrett Guarantano can throw with the same velocity as Russell Wilson, and that should not be the case. There should be something special about him. Peyton Manning did not have great arm velocity, but what Peyton Manning had was a brilliant mind when it came to football, and his ability to put the ball at the right place at the right time was always better than anybody who stepped out onto the field, except when he was hurt. And it was an interesting year in 2015. But Peyton Manning was on a next level. I don't see Kyle Orton had better arm velocity and better arm talent than Russell Wilson. I hate to say it. So Tebow, yeah, he was a disaster. Russ got him on that. But Tebow had way below average arm talent than NFL quarterbacks. I mean, way below.
Is there anything that Russ can do this offseason to fix it, or is it truthfully just getting older with age?
He's done.
It's time.
It's done.
Just time. What we're watching is Cam Newton at the end. And it fell off quick for Cam. Now, I think you can still get good football out of Russ, but it's going to be very restricted. It's going to be very structured. This is where Harbaugh comes in to tell him what to do. And he's going to listen because Hackett was just like, are you okay? Am I your best friend? How's Sierra, Russ? I like you, Russ. Are you my best friend, Russ? Like, no, you need a man. You need an actual adult in the room, and that's what Harbaugh would bring. Russ will listen to him, but, he's not playing 10 more years. He's not. I mean, not even close. He can't win from the pocket. It's not. He's got to run. You got to do bootlegs. And like D-Mac said, when he does that, he's going to put himself more open to injury. So you must be prepared for the next guy to play too.
And here's the painful problem. It'll take like 10 plays next year for every defense in the NFL to figure that out. And there's always a counter move to one move. There's always a reaction. That's why quarterbacks are so valuable, because they can break the adjustments the other teams make if they're really special. Like, it doesn't matter, because if you do this, I'm going to do that. If you send a blitz, I'm going to recognize it and do what I got to do. When you run this type of offense, and it's so predictable, guys, we saw it with Tebow. It's a mush rush. You never blitz. You set your linebackers just off the line a little bit, and then you just kind of stand there. And that's a wrap. So you will get a lot of little completions, but, it's like 3 yards, 4 yards. The only way to win with this, you got to have a mofo offensive line. You got to have some beasts up front that are just going to bully their way, so it doesn't matter that they know what's coming. And they clearly don't have that. But that's it, man. The only way to win with Russ is to have a ridiculously good power, strength offensive line.
They obviously do not have, and we could talk about offseason all hour long, but I do want to get into the playoff scenarios, because obviously with the Cincinnati Bengals Buffalo Bill game getting canceled, it's kind of opened up a what's going to happen. So we do have some of the scenarios that are being voted on by the owners later today. So the AFC Championship could potentially become a neutral site game if any of the three following scenarios are met. If Buffalo and Kansas City both win or both tie in Week 18, then a Buffalo versus Kansas City championship game would be at a neutral site. If the Bills and the Chiefs both lose in Week 18 and Baltimore wins or ties with the Bengals, then a Buffalo versus Kansas City championship game would be at a neutral site. Or if Buffalo and Kansas City both lose and Cincinnati beats Baltimore, then a Bills or Bengals versus Chiefs championship game would be at a neutral site. The NFL is also giving the Ravens a chance to possibly host a wild card game, even though Baltimore can't mathematically win the AFC North. So under that scenario, the Ravens beat the Bengals on Sunday, and if the two teams are scheduled to play each other in a wild card round. So this is interesting. How do you feel about an AFC championship game being at a neutral site, Cecil?
I feel like Charlie on Always Sunny in Philadelphia when you're trying to figure out who's Pepe Sylvia in the mailroom. Pepe Sylvia. Like there's a meme of that everywhere. So yeah, that's what that is. But my head hurts. Head hurts. NFL, whatever. We just play the games. Can we get it out there? They should have played on Thursday, honestly. They should have actually played that game. And then, yes, they would have had to play Thursday and then Sunday. Yeah. Yep. That's what happens. Like, so is it fair? Life's not fair. This whole thing hurts my head. And honestly, I just want to get to the playoffs because Week 18, the NFL, the fat hog getting slaughtered. Like, you didn't need this extra game. You didn't need this complication caused by that extra game. And most of these games are meaningless this week. Absolutely meaningless.
Yeah.
It's such a unique circumstance that it's never something we've watched the NFL for years and years and years. There's never been anything quite like this. So I'm going to give the NFL a little bit of grace. The concept of the Bills turning around and playing, I mean, if you really want to say it, theoretically they could have played on Tuesday, I guess, had they just stayed in town. But this was so incredibly unique. And nobody had the heart motivation or perhaps perceived responsibility to play this game before they knew a little bit more certainly what was going on with Damar Hamlin. So now we know. And the news is unbelievable with Damar Hamlin. I mean, I am stunned. I mean, that is just awesome. So I think they're doing the best they can. I understand the rationale for all of it. There's a little bit of sacrifice going on all over the place here. And I think I think it's okay. It's not perfect. It's not great, but it's not like there was any obvious perfect or great solution. So it's obvious that somebody is going to have a problem with something when you have to make some sort of compromise. So under all things that were realistic under the situation, I'm fine with it. And it's a complicated solution, but it's a complicated issue. So I'm okay with it. Listen, if you're good enough to win, so winning the Super Bowl should be hard. Okay, winning the Super Bowl should be hard. And so I'm fine with making it hard. It should be hard. It's more rewarding if it's hard. So I'm okay with it.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely interesting, but a lot of people are obviously upset here in Broncos country because it's saying it's giving the Chiefs a bit of an advantage. So it'll be interesting kind of what plays out. But Cecil, to your point, not a lot of the games this weekend matter. I think, isn't there only like 3, maybe 4 games? Maybe 3
there's
games?
some minor scenarios. Like the Steelers can get in with a win and then 2 more wins by other teams. Like the Jets have to win, I believe. And then Cincinnati has to win or something. But so like, okay. So yeah, but I look over this entire schedule this week and I'm like, this boring. And I love the NFL. It's my job. But like this week, other than a handful of games, you got Saturday night, Tennessee and Jacksonville. Okay. I'm actually rooting for Jacksonville, but really there's not a whole lot in this extra week. The NFL had to have 17 games. Like, it screwed up my schedule. That's all that I know. Because the whole Christmas thing, like you used to work your ass off until Christmas in fantasy football, and then you'd be done. And then now this year, like the most important games are being played like during Christmas and New Year's. Like, oh, I don't have a life. So there you go.
Okay. Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the owners end up deciding to do later today, like I said. But I do want to talk about Skip Bayless last night. DMAC, I know you were at the Nuggets game versus the Clippers. What a freaking domination. And Skip Bayless comes out and says, if healthy, big if, the Clippers will go further in the playoffs than the Nuggets, farther in the playoffs, excuse me. Better coach. Do they have a better coach, or is this just a bit of a hot take comment, which we know Cecil hates, DMAC?
No, I mean, Lou's not a better coach than Michael Malone. Skip Bayless, way to have a week, dude. If you didn't notice, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, who are in the top 10 on the front court for NBA All-Star voting, were on the court for the Clippers, dude. I mean, the game got so bad because they have a back-to-back in Minnesota. Lou took out his starters in the second half to rest them, to give them a chance for tonight. That's how bad it was for them. And they were trying. They were pathetic. And not only were they pathetic, you see, when the Nuggets are full go, I mean, what the hell with this team? And when they're healthy, and they were healthy last night with all their starters, and Jamal Murray was good, Jamal, right from the jump. Look the freak out for your Denver Nuggets, because what are you going to do if Jamal's heating up right away? Jokic is Jokic. He's the MVP of the league. The end. I don't even want to hear any arguments about it. They're number one in the West, and he's practically averaging a triple-double. And he could pile up some bogus points if he wanted to, but he doesn't, because he's the best passer in the NBA. It's bananas. At one point in the first quarter, Jamal Murray had more points than the entire Clippers team at 13 in the first quarter. I mean, it was ridiculous. At halftime, got to think about this for a second. At halftime, the Nuggets had more than twice as many points as the Clippers had scored for a lead. I mean, it was one of the biggest bully beatdowns you'd ever see. And the Clippers are theoretically a good team. Are you nuts, Skip Bayless? I mean, yeah, anything can happen in the NBA playoffs, but there's zero chance that the Clippers could beat the Nuggets in a 7-game playoff. What are you, nuts?
It's Skip Bayless. I mean, D-Mac's full of grace today. I'm full of piss and venom. Skip Bayless is useless. Okay? He's absolutely useless. The stuff he said about Hamlin, I'm going to talk my way out of it. Like, how the hell does he have a job? And go back further to the 90s when he had accusations against Troy Aikman that were borderline homophobic, or were just basically homophobic, from Skip Bayless. And that's how he got famous, by the way. When he was Mr. Hot Take in the 90s. So yeah, Skip Bayless is useless. Like the fact that he has a platform is disgusting to me. And yeah, I mean, he just further shows that he doesn't know what's going on. I love basketball. I'm not as deep into it as DMAC, of course, but like, yeah, there's no way anything that he said about the Clippers had any sort of accuracy there, especially when compared to the way the Nuggets are and the way the Nuggets can be. And it's just a disrespect from the media. Like, whatever, go win it all, Nuggets. You know how you shut the hell up? You get these people to shut the hell up. You get Skip Bayless to put his head in the sand, hopefully. You'll win. So go win. I'm rooting for the Denver Nuggets big time, just to do that, just to shut up the haters.
Cecil is all fire today. I love it. Cecil, are you picking the Nuggets to win? Do you think they can actually do it?
I do not. No, no, I don't. And maybe that's just me, but I've often said like, the Nuggets will be fun, but you got to go past the Western Conference Final. Like, that's the furthest they've ever been. Like, come on, you gotta push. You got to get a little further. Can we at least see them in the NBA Finals? I'm all about the, kind of way you have to earn it, at least in 90s basketball, which was better. Don't get Zach By in here. We'll argue about it. But 90s basketball, Jordan didn't just win it immediately. He had to earn it, and he had to fight against Detroit for years and years and years. Okay, Nuggets, you've had to fight. The bubble, you probably should have won when you were in the bubble, honestly. That should have been the Nuggets run right there. It wasn't. Now you've been kind of falling short and not doing what you're supposed to. No, get to the damn Western Conference Finals, win the damn thing, get to the NBA Finals, and then we'll talk.
D-Mac, why is this year different?
In the bubble, Jokic and Murray, and of course it was Bubble Murray who was unbelievable.
57.
But they just did not have the depth that they have now. It's just a better team with the additions of Bruce Brown, KCP, Bones Highland for depth. And then you got Christian Brown, who he didn't even come off the bench until he's a great player. He didn't come off the bench till the second half, and they had a 30-something point lead. Nah, man, this team's better than that bubble team. I do not see a team better than them in the West. The East, we got a fun test tonight because the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing good. The Nuggets schooled the Celtics recently, and we got another fun test added tonight. So look at the teams that they beat, by the way. Look at the teams they beat in the past, 10 days. I mean, it's ridiculous. And forget about that back-to-back one-off against Minnesota. I don't even care about that game. That means nothing. So, no, this team is in great shape. And they've got a ton of home games coming up in January. A ton. So, man, the Nuggets are the Avalanche. The way the Avs were last year, that's the Nuggets this year. The Avalanche are sadly another story. But it's like everybody's expecting the most, and I think they're going to get the most. And I've got the Nuggets. I will be disappointed if they don't go to the NBA Finals. I'll agree with you there. Once you get to the NBA Finals, it's like, you're facing another great team, obviously. I think they're more than capable of winning it. It's just hard to say, I promise that, or I'm disappointed by making the finals. But yeah, I'll be disappointed if they don't make the finals because they're the best team in the West.
D-Mac, does Jamal have to be good for them to make it to the finals?
Yes, of course. Your best players always have to be your best players. And Michael Porter Jr. Has to realize I am 6'10". He is 6'10". He is a big human being. And he's sort of getting that more and more, and he's being more aggressive, driving the ball to the bucket, as well as having, a beautiful shot. But no, yes, of course. You need your best players to play incredibly well. And they absolutely need Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. to win a championship. But again, guys, winning championships should be hard. It should be, it's okay that it's difficult to win a championship, and it's okay to expect your best players to play the best.
My only concern is we've seen how shaky Jamal can be. And like you said, when bad Jamal is bad Jamal, it's not good to see him out on the court. But when he's good, he really does help this team. What's your trust level in that both Jamal and MPJ could show up when they actually need him to?
Well, just really quick, Jamal is still dealing with, it's not that his knee needs to be better. It's about recovery after games with his knee. Okay. So tonight's a really interesting test because it's the first time he's going to play in back-to-back nights of the entire year. Now, he didn't have to go all out last night, which was terrific, but you still have to warm up. You're on the court, all that sort of stuff. He had a big ice bag on his knee when he left the press room yesterday. So tonight will be an interesting test. But guys, don't forget, in the playoffs, there are no back-to-back games. None. So it's really not an issue because even with a day of rest, Jamal's been okay, more or less coming back. And certainly if he has a bad game with rest on that next game, he's more than okay. So I'm highly encouraged. And I'm not – this back-to-back, 3 games at 4 nights crap in the NHL and NBA, it to me is just that. It's a bunch of crap. It's not reflective of what really happens in the playoffs. That's why
being great in the regular season is one thing. Being great in the playoffs is different. So how do I have confidence? Because playoff basketball is different. It always has been. It's like playoff football. You just get to that moment, and this game doesn't completely change, but everything, the intensity is ramped up. So that type of adrenaline, that sort of focus, knowing how close you are, knowing how good you are, which comes from the regular season. But the regular season is a different game. Playoff basketball is different, and I expect the Nuggets to perform even better then.
If you're not on board with the Nuggets, I'm just giving you a heads up. Get ready. It's coming. Just like the Avalanche last year. I was like, hey, get ready. It's coming. If you don't know, get ready. I can't promise that with the Avs this year, unfortunately. I wish I could. But the Nuggets, get ready. Get ready, Denver sports fans. Get ready.
I like it. All right. Well, tonight's game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, too, should be a good one. D-Mac, you'll be there, correct?
I will be there. I have no life. I will be there again.
And then we've also got plenty of, a couple interesting games this weekend. You can catch us all with our game day live coverage on Sunday for the final Broncos game. Hang out with Cecil and I pregame for 15 minutes during halftime of the morning games. We'll get you set for kickoff, and everybody will see you on Monday morning at 10:30 a.m. for another edition of Coffee Break. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. We'll see you later.